And we are back. We are here today with Nathan Monk, or also known as Father Nathan Monk. Nathan, wow, man, a lot has happened in the world since since you were last on the show. How have you and your family been holding up so far?
It's been wild. As you can see, I'm here Skyping with you from my car/office at the moment. The whole world has fundamentally changed. Everything, the way that we're doing things now, the way that we're interacting with other humans, and of course, the fundamental question has been answered: could that have been an email? And the answer is yes. So it's been neat to watch how things have changed.
It's crazy. So you're here to talk about your new book, The Miracle. Many people might know you wrote two books before your current novel. We had you on the show to talk about those before, but just a little refresher. How did each of those books come about?
So my first book, Chasing the Mouse, is a memoir about my experience growing up in poverty and homelessness as a child. And I wrote that around 2015. And then a lot of people reached out to me and said that though they really loved Chasing the Mouse, it didn't answer a lot of the fundamental questions of how to fix the problem. And so I wrote Charity Means Love as a way to be a sort of a guidepost for people to know how to create cultural change within their own communities, in their church, within their nonprofit that they operate, so that we can really root out and address these issues. And I have always wanted to write a novel, and this story just kind of stayed stuck in the back of my head, and it finally found its way out.
Now, a lot of our Pensacola viewers know your background, but for those that don't, you were a priest once. Thus,
Sure.
Many still call you Father Monk. Did your history of being on the inside of the church inform the book in any way?
So, interestingly enough, my time in the priesthood did not have a lot to do with this book. But when my family lived in Tennessee, which is where I grew up as a child, we were involved in sort of these Pentecostal faith healing churches, and that sort of prosperity gospel type congregation. And growing up in that and seeing that world and growing up, I mean, I went to, my parents would take me to the Trinity Broadcasting Network on the weekend, and all these, self-proclaimed prophets would come out and supposedly heal people, and then they'd pass around the plate and make their money and do their thing. And so a lot of my experience in growing up and a lot of the things that I saw during that time informed a lot of the story of this book. I think really in a lot of ways, it was me coming to terms with having to address that concept of what really is a miracle, and what would that actually look like in a modern context.
Now, this is your first novel. What was it like
Sure.
transitioning from writing nonfiction to writing, the great American novel, so to speak?
My favorite part is that I didn't have to tell the truth, right? And so when you're writing something that is true, you have a real responsibility to make sure that you are staying as true as possible, right? So if I was telling the story, let's say in another book, I'm writing the story about the times you and I have hung out. I'm going to check with you. I'm going to call you and say, hey, David, this is the chapter I've written that tells the story of the time that we hung out. Will you read this and see if it's true to you? Is this true to your memories? There's a lot of having to check yourself in those moments and make sure that you're being honest and integrous, and that you're not unfairly casting someone in a negative light, even if they hurt you, those types of things. Even positive stories, you have to be very cautious and make sure that you're not exaggerating the details and doing all this kind of stuff. Writing a novel, you can go wild. It was like having, as a writer, it was like being on a playground without any rules. It was just being able to tell a story and go in any direction I wanted to with these characters, and take them on any journeys and any side stories that I wanted to, with with very limited rules, and that was an exciting experience.
Nathan, we are going to go to a commercial break, and then we'll be right back with Nathan, Father Nathan Monk.